In this episode, we're going to talk about brand consistency across your website and your sales pages. Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Before we start today's episode, I'd love to highlight our show sponsor, Jane. Jane app is a clinic management software and EMR designed to help practitioners grow and manage their clinics. They do this with the helpful features like online booking, scheduling, billing, and documentation, and they are the best, let me tell you. Whether you're working solo or in a large multidisciplinary clinic, no-shows and late cancellations are something that every practitioner faces, and they can be super frustrating. Jane offers several tools to help you prevent and manage those no-shows, including the ability to save a credit card on file and send out automated SMS and email reminders, and they are truly a game changer. Learn more about Jane's helpful features at jane.app/payments. Listeners can also include a code LEX1MO. Again, it's LEX1MO at the time of sign up for a 1-month grace period applied to your Jane account. Welcome back to another episode of Up in My Business. My name is Lex. If it is your first time listening, welcome. If you're returning back and listening again, thank you so much for listening. I had someone say to me yesterday I was on a call with her. It's currently Thursday, by the way. So I'm recording this at a totally different time. And I say this all the time. Sometimes if you record things or if you're delivering a message at a different time of day on a different day of the week, you definitely have a different energy. So if I am, I always say I'm more upbeat and like talkative on call days, and Thursdays are my call days. So here I am. I had someone say to me the other day that I am the person that they listen to when it comes to things about SEO. And I was like, that literally means so much to me that I couldn't possibly begin to convey how much I appreciate what you just said. And I've been thinking on that. And I just know that there have been enough people who have said, thank you for publishing podcasts on these things that I talk about. And I can't even begin to describe how thankful I am. If you have a podcast, you understand that when you create this, when you first decide that you're going to have a podcast, you don't necessarily know who's going to listen and if the message is going to land. And for me, when I started this, I genuinely didn't know. And I'm just so grateful because I talk about tech. Like sometimes people I know it's a subject a lot of people fear. So I wasn't coming in thinking that everyone's going to just love my stuff. I'm not here serving you motivational quotes and what have you. So anyway, super appreciative of that. I'm recording this episode ahead of time. Just a couple things a topic came up and I was like, I have to talk about this. So that's why I'm recording ahead of time, not because of anything else. I really was just like, I need to get this message off of my mind, and it's best done in talking format. I did make a post about it. I just dropped my marker. Hopefully you didn't hear that. If you did, sorry. I have to make a post about it as well, or I did make a post about it. I made a reel about it, but either way, we're going to talk about brand consistency after a question came up on a coaching call. Now, personal updates, business updates, really nothing crazy. I'm sitting here right now. Moose is currently bothering me because I have popcorn on my desk, so I'm going to feed her a couple pieces right now. I don't know if you can hear her chewing, but we joke that she has no lips, so it's really funny to watch her chew things, especially pretzels, but currently feeding her a couple pieces of popcorn. It's her favorite food. So that's really nothing really life updates to give. My parents, by the time this episode gets published, my parents will have left that morning because they leave that Monday. So by the time this episode gets published, they will have left on that Monday. I hope it's going to be a good time. I bet it will be great. I bet my mom will love it in California. But like I had said in a previous episode, it's going to be really tough because I know my family will likely always remain on the East Coast. So for me, it's like I do live far away and it is difficult, but it's definitely one of the things that has made me super happy living here. So I wouldn't want to sacrifice that just to be in a closer vicinity to them. It's really tough as you get older, and I'm sure anyone who has moved far away from their family or support can probably relate to that. It's difficult because you want to be close, and like all of my friends are on the East Coast from my younger years. They're all on the East Coast. So I have missed things for them. My brother is, he has a family, so I will be, obviously away from them as well. It's tough to be far away, but I also know that it was a huge sacrifice, that where I lived was a huge sacrifice that I made for a really long time. And I just don't think that I know that it was not worth it. Because I know what's bringing me happiness is being out here. So it's tough though. I don't talk about that on social media ever. And I don't talk about it on the podcast ever, but just know, like, if you live far away from your family, I'm with you. It's tough. It's hard. I rely on FaceTime. I don't know what people did before FaceTime, right? They sent letters and never really saw each other, but I like FaceTime a lot to see my mom. And I think she really appreciates being able to see myself and Moose and Shantae. So yeah, just really like that technology exists, just because it is tough. And Shantae's family's on the East Coast too, and she sees them twice a year. I think we'll go out in July and once for Thanksgiving. And my family, because they're visiting here in April, and then they're pretty busy this summer. I think the next time I'll be home will be Christmas. So it's tough, but it's one of those things where it's like, the time does pass very quickly. And I'm also learning that, when I'm in person with these people, it's just important to really, really dive in there and be present. So, all right, now that we've done that talk, business stuff, I'm not really going to call it a business thing. It's business/personal. If you have not heard of Boss Up, Shantae and Jill Fit, they are running an in-person event in October, and I'm going to be there, and I would love to hang out with you in person. If you are looking to learn the best things to do for an online business and how to run your online business in the best possible way, they are the only two people that I would recommend you receive coaching from. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that you attend Boss Up if you have not attended a conference before. I know Shantae has said this in a couple of different places, but if you haven't been to an in-person event, come to this one, because it will be the best one that you go to. And she has said, it's going to ruin you for the rest of the events ever. And it's the truth. It's just going to be the best. So would love to see you there if you can come. I'm looking at my calendar, October 10th and 11th. So if you can make it, amazing. Would love to see you, meet you, hug you, all the things. Let me know if you register, because a few people have emailed me and said that they registered, and I'm just so excited to see them in person. It's the best. Okay. So I think that's really it. Like I said, I'm recording this episode ahead of time because this thought was on my mind. So at the time that this actually launches, who knows? I may have a new logo. I'm not sure. I've been working with a woman on it, and it's coming along very nicely. And it's so fun to see where we started and where we are now. I'm excited to share it. And my colors are staying the same. She really did work with the colors that I currently use on Instagram and on my website. So those are all staying the same. It's really just the look of my word logo. And then now I'll have like a mark. So I'm really excited. Okay, let's jump into the episode. It's going to be a quick one. Like, genuinely, it will be very quick. I had we're going to talk about brand consistency across your website and on sales pages and what have you. I think a lot of times we strive to create variability at the expense of our client's experience. So and the loss of trust of that client in a way. What I mean by that is, oftentimes when I have conversations with people on coaching calls about their website or about their sales pages, people will have something that either they created themselves, which is great, or something that someone else had created, and they won't look the same. So for instance, someone's about page looks nothing like their home page, and their contact page looks nothing like their about page. Their sales pages look absolutely nothing like their website. For me, I hate this because it doesn't make sense. You should have color consistency, font consistency, brand consistency across all of your sales pages. If I were to take an Instagram post today or make a sales page right now, and my colors are pretty common. If you've seen anything on commonly known, if you've seen anything from me, it's always the same colors. If I chose one day to just make a post in hot pink, no one would feel good about that. It would be like, why is Lex using hot pink? This is never a thing for Lex's posts. Now, I'm not trying to relate myself to Nike, right? Like, I'm not the Nike swoosh. My colors are not that important. However, what I'm getting at here is that when someone does something different and it's not aligned with their brand, it throws up a red flag in our mind and it really feels jarring. So if you're used to someone using a certain type of, layout, font, color, and then suddenly it's different, it takes a minute to be like, oh, that is that person. So you're losing that person's reaction to knowing that it's you. And also you're losing the ability to let them kind of flow through your content, right? Because when something looks similar and when something is familiar, you don't need to think about it as you're looking at it. Whereas if you have something that doesn't look familiar and it's new, or a new color, a new font, a new layout, something that's completely different than what you typically put out, people now have to look twice before they're like, oh, that is Lex, right? So the reason this came up is someone had talked to me about, on a coaching call, someone talked to me about sales pages and their website. And they had, I believe, the story was that they had a website and they had someone else build a sales page for them. And then they needed a new sales page, but nothing matched. So the website looked nothing like the sales page and the two sales pages looked nothing like each other. Now, the thought through this person's mind was that it was good because it set apart different offers. So if you have a strengthening class versus a flexibility class, they wanted that to look different. Now, I can understand the thought process there. It's if someone is clicking around and looking at different things and they end up on one thing compared to something else that you're offering, it's nice to have them look different. However, if everything is linked on your website, everything should look the same. So if I go from a home page to your sales page, it shouldn't look like it's a different brand unless you're running it with someone else. Like Shantae and Jill are a good example. So like they both have links to this Boss Up page now that are not their personal brand colors, right? It's a color that they're sharing. So that's a little bit different when you're working with someone. But if it's your website and your sales pages, there should be no reason to make it look drastically different, because in an ideal world, someone may end up on your website instead of your sales page, or from your sales page, they go to your website. And ideally that all looks the same to keep things consistent and not be jarring for them. So realistically, the big message here is that sometimes we will think that we need to create variability and variety so that people don't get bored, so that people are alerted when they come to certain pages, so you can make sure that, they notice that they're on a different offer. Instead, that should come from the text that you're putting on the page, rather than creating an entirely different looking brand. Now, if you want to have a different header, cool. But don't change the fonts, right? We're not changing fonts. We're not changing it to a different brand color, meaning something that is not part of your actual color scheme. Like, don't be doing that. And when you're looking at your website, typically one of my strategies when I'm working on website audits and website redesigns is I will carry over some sections from page to page so that the whole website flows. So if there's a section that I design and I really like the section and it's very much so able to be used elsewhere, I will save that section and then put it on other pages, because that ties all the pages together as well. Or having the same type of header section on each page. It really makes things very fluid. So the way that people feel when they go to someone's Instagram and they're like, oh my God, it's so pretty. The reason you're saying that is because they're using the same colors, fonts, and somewhat similar layouts. You should also have someone doing that when they come to your website. It's so pretty. Typically, it's because there's brand consistency throughout the entire website. So if you have ever wondered, should I have different sales pages that look different from each other? Should I introduce a new color? If you want to introduce red because it's like, this sale is ending, cool. But otherwise, don't feel the pressure to create a different color scheme, a different layout, a different look for different pages on your site just to create variety within your brand, because it's not necessary. Things that are created by you for your brand, your website, your social media, your sales pages, your course graphics, everything for your brand should look similar. We don't need to create variety in order to keep someone entertained, right? Instead, let's keep things consistent and allow them to freely flow through things without them being jarred by differences. So that's all I have for you. Not much today because I just wanted to get that thought out of my head and make sure that I was able to voice it. But if you have questions about that, I would love to chat. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening. I will catch you next time.